Hello everybody, Syrup Dishes here with the Winunite tailgate assist for an F150 from 2015 to 2023, about $27 on Amazon. It says it has a shock, upper ball mount plate, lower ball mount plate, Torx wrench, and pink threadlock glue. So let's look at this package. Well, there's more than that. There's a 10 millimeter socket wrench. That'll be handy. There's this washer. Don't think we need that. This tiny screwdriver flathead, won't need that. This pink thread locker glue, a top ball mount plate, two lower ball mount plates, one with an elongated hole and one with just a regular hole. We'll probably use the elongated hole just for ease of use. This awesome star drive wrench that will work on the top screw for the tailgate. And then you have an extra little mount here that goes on the hydraulic itself. I wonder if they think those break easy or something. I don't know. I didn't need that one. They seem to work just fine, but I'm sure it's a replacement down the road. Cool instructions, great pictures. The instructions aren't great, but the pictures were good. Let's look at this tailgate. First, we'll see the bottom bracket, the two bolts that we'll need to take off. And then I happen to have this tie down bracket on my tailgate. We're going to have to do something about that. Then you have your tailgate cable, and that's going to have to come off as well. Tools, 10 millimeter wrench, star drive wrench, those were included. Screwdriver, I'm going to take a longer flathead screwdriver and then a rubber mallet. I'm going to need a T30 bit and an impact wrench for that tie down bracket. Step one says to take that lift strap off, the cable off, and there's just this little silver tab, and all you have to do is lift the tailgate a little bit. I'm going to take the longer screwdriver so that I can stay away from my tail light there and pry that tab open, and then when you lift the tailgate, you should just be able to take the cable, slide it up and then out away from that bolt. Super easy. Then you're going to need the awesome star drive wrench that comes in the kit right in that bolt, and that's pretty easy to take out. It's going to have to go over the top of that plate with the ball facing down. Didn't take a lot of pressure to get that bolt worked out to start with, but once you get that out, you'll be able to flip that wrench around and you'll be able to get it out a little bit quicker. There's a huge washer on the back of that. Make sure that that stays on that bolt. Go ahead and grab your top plate. That's the long one with just the one hole. Slide your bolt through there, and let's get that pink thread locker on there. That's going to keep that in there over those tighter bumps and rough roads and not let it work out and work itself loose over time. Put a good gooey amount on there. Make sure you drip some on the ground. That's always handy dandy. And finger tighten that. And once you get it pretty finger tight, use gravity to let that ball plate just kind of hang down. It doesn't have to be perfectly level. It'll kind of self-level itself. And then use your included star drive wrench to just tighten that down. Be careful not to over tighten it. The wrench isn't huge, so it should provide about the right amount of torque for it. Then it says to reattach this strap or cable. You don't really need a screwdriver to do it. I use one there. This is a mistake, folks. Do not put that on at this step. I'll show you why as we go. I am going to need to do something with this bracket, so I'm going to look. The included star drive wrench is too big, doesn't fit. That's why I need the T30 bit, and I'm going to use an impact driver. You can use a drill, you can use a socket wrench, you can use any number of things, but T30 is the size of that. Pull out the bottom one, and here you have it. Lift up my bed liner, put it in there, and I can't because the strap is in the way. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it, just like we did before, no problems. And I'll lift that tailgate liner up, and I'll go ahead and set the T30 bit in there, and we'll get that top bolt out. And I thought I had it finger loose in there, but nope, not quite. I need to use the impact driver a little bit more to get that further out. Set those aside and put my cable back on, and now we got to deal with this bottom plate. It says to use the 10 millimeter socket to remove both of those. I had to chip the paint away to get that to fit off of those bolts. They were painted up the same color as the rest of the truck. And so I'm going to get that bottom one off, and I'm just going to loosen the top one, but I'm going to take the bottom one all the way out, and I'm going to attach one at a time into the bracket pretty loose. And what that's going to allow is make sure that the tailgate isn't moving up or down at all. Now you would probably be fine to remove them both at the same time, but I like to do one at a time just to be sure. Those were the tightest ones that I had to remove, but that wrench did the trick and provide enough torque. So I've got the bottom one all the way out. I'm going to grab that bracket again. I'm going to use the one with the slot for the hole, the elongated hole. That's just going to allow a little bit more ease of movement and install for me. We'll get some pink thread locker on there. That's super easy to use. I had to kind of cut the tip of that thread locker to make sure I could get enough out. I'm going to finger tighten that bottom one. Just don't need to use the wrench because I want that bracket, that plate, to be able to swivel and move. Once I have that finger tight, I can take the top bolt out all the way. We'll use the rounded side there, and then we'll move it to the elongated side of the wrench to be able to get it out a little bit quicker. And then once that one's out, we can flip that bracket over, line up the holes, get some thread locker on the top bolt. Again, make sure you drip plenty of that down on the ground and on your tailgate. Nothing like making a mess. And we'll finger tighten that one before grabbing our 10mm wrench and getting those tight. And I'm going to tell you, those included wrenches make it super easy. If you don't have your own tools, or maybe you're like anybody who has a 10mm socket, they're the most lost sockets out of anything out there. So having that made it super easy. I didn't have to dig one out. I didn't have to make sure I had it. If you're a tool junkie and you love to use your own tools, have at it. It's no big deal. But this worked great, and I think for any do-it-yourselfer out there, it's perfect when they come with it. Now, I didn't want the holes from the bracket just kind of hanging out there open, so I'm going to put those bolts back in there with a little bit of thread locker just for a little bit of protection. Go back and use the impact wrench and the T30 bit and get those in. And now I'm about to do this top one. Can you guess what's going to happen? Yep, that cable is going to be in the way again, and I'm going to have to take it off so I can fit my impact wrench. Folks, just wait until the very end to put that on. It's just going to make it a little bit easier. Not that it's hard to remove or put back on. It's just, I don't know why I kept putting it back on, probably because the instructions told me to, and you just don't need to. So I put it back on there. Now the next step is to attach the plunger. Now, the actual hydraulic unit, it doesn't really say if the plunger goes down or up, but it looks like that thin part that the actual plunger faces down in the picture. So you line up the ball on there, get your rubber mallet, just pop it on there. There's a little clip on that mount that just kind of clips it on, so didn't take much force at all. Give it a little tug, make sure it fits. I'm going to grab that bracket for the tie down on the tailgate and show you how, if this stayed on there, how that would ding up and bend the actual hydraulic unit. So that's why you have to take it off. After the bottom one's on, it wants you to connect up the top mount. It does rotate and twist so you can match up the ball with the actual hydraulic unit. You can lift your tailgate and match those up just fine. I didn't want to lift the tailgate too far just so I could still get the mallet in there to hit it. So I pulled on that hydraulic until it was almost there and then lifted the tailgate just a bit. And I used the mallet just to tap it on. Again, does not take much. Let's take this bracket here and show you as we close this tailgate how it would hit that hydraulic, and you could see there as soon as you'd close it, it would ding it up. So that's why you have to take that off. And here you go, easy lift, no problem. Let it down, hands free, and that's all on its own, folks. There from the side, hands free, goes down nice and slow. I don't have to listen to everybody slamming that. I don't know why people get excited and drop it, but now if they do, it's not going to slam. So Winunite tailgate lift assist for your F150. I'm Surreptitious. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in.